Hi everyone, welcome back to Faith and Flour. This is Robin. This is me unloading the dishwasher and realizing that some of the dishes didn't come clean. So that means I need to clean my dishwasher. So I'm going to start with that today, but I also have lots of other spring cleaning motivation for you. I have one sort of small project that I like to do as part of my spring cleaning. So we're going to get into that in a little bit, but after I unload the dishwasher, I'll show you what I do to clean it. I ran the dishwasher last night, but I didn't get a chance to unload it until now, and so breakfast dishes are starting to pile up in the sink, so I will put those in just as soon as I finish the dishwasher. But to clean the dishwasher, I just fill up a cup with some white vinegar, put it in the top of my dishwasher, and then without anything in there, I run the dishwasher. And before I do that, I take out the filter, and each model has a different filter, a different location for the filter. So if you're not familiar with yours, check your owner's manual, but ours has two parts. So I disconnect those and then I use a bottle brush because it's the perfect fit for getting down in there and getting it super clean. And I just use a little bit of dishwashing liquid, rinse it with some hot water, and it's good to go. If you have never cleaned your filter before, you probably aren't alone. A lot of people are not even aware that it exists, but it can be the source of smells from your dishwasher. And if you clean it regularly, your dishwasher will definitely perform better. While the dishwasher is cleaning, I will talk to you guys about a question that I've had pretty frequently, and that is, how did our landscaping fare through the Texas ice storms? So these are some houseplants, and they are the only source of spring in our area at the moment. I guess spring will be delayed this year. This is a plant that my Bible study friends gave me for my birthday 2 years ago. It's blooming now, so I'm really enjoying that. I have a prayer plant that's doing really well. It's not blooming at this time, but it's beautiful and green. And then if you guys know how I love my orchids, you'll know that I'm super excited to see that I have a couple of flower spikes on two of my orchids. And so I can't wait to see those bloom in a few months. Outside, we were able to save a few of our plants, some succulents that we had in pots. This is a blue flame agave, and it was an offshoot that I potted from one of our larger plants that I'll show you a little bit later. It's doing great because it was protected in the garage. We also have several magnolia trees, and those all did great. We had those in North Carolina too. They're pretty hardy and are used to the cold weather, but other bushes such as these and pretty much the rest of our landscaping really didn't do well. I'm heartbroken about this agave in our front yard. It was really one of the centerpieces of our landscaping, and it was gorgeous, but it really did not do well. There was pretty much nothing we could do to protect it. All of the agave nectar has been leaking out. It is just so sad. We were talking about it as Patrick was trimming it up and trying to, salvage what we could from it, that it felt like we had this giant sea creature that was in distress in our front yard, and it was just heartbreaking to have to trim it back like this. But this is pretty much the case all over our area, the Austin area of Texas, and I imagine most everywhere that had this deep freeze that lasted for over a week. So we trimmed it back, and we'll just see what happens with it. But I think that a lot of these succulents are just going to have to be replaced. had a lot of agave nectar all over the driveway, and so Patrick was hosing that down, and we just thought it was really interesting that it kind of foamed up, almost got soapy as we were cleaning it off, but it's definitely water soluble and came off easily. But our agave is just kind of sad looking now, and we are just hoping that maybe it will live, maybe it will pull through. It's definitely not going to be as grand and beautiful as it used to be, but we're going to hold on to it as long as possible. We have some smaller ones in the yard that I think are probably done, but we have hopes that maybe they'll recover too. And many of the other bushes, pretty much all of the other bushes, just look like someone took a blowtorch to them, or they are almost like freeze dried. As soon as you touch them, the leaves just come off. So we're hoping that through the spring they will recover and produce some new leaves. We had some beautiful foxtails in the backyard that are usually green this time of year. They all had to be cut back, and all of the ground cover was pretty much burnt as well. There's a little bit of green peeking through, so hopeful for that, but we're just gonna have to wait and see and hope for the best. This is one of two of the blue flame agaves, the original plants that I was referring to earlier, and these didn't do well either. We were hoping that they would be okay. They are very, very heavy, so we couldn't move them to the garage. We took them under the cover of our porch and moved them very close to the house, and usually if we have a freeze for just a couple of days, that's fine. But this extended freeze that we had was just too much for it, and we realized after 3 or 4 days, when it started really looking bad, that it was in a lot of trouble and there wasn't much we could do at that point. So now I'm just trimming it like we did the agave in the front. We're hoping that the center part of the plant is still alive and that maybe it will make a comeback. While the dishwasher was going, I needed to get some lunch together, and outside today is actually rainy but very warm, and so I'm kind of in the mood to make something light and something that's not going to heat up the house. And this time of year I just kind of like to eat something like a salad, and so I'm making a salad with some cucumber, some bell pepper, and beans. I've got 2 different kinds of beans. I've got black beans, and then I have some garbanzo beans or chickpeas, and I'm also going to add some corn. And I'm making a simple dressing with just some balsamic vinegar, some olive oil, and then I really love this vegetable seasoning blend, so I'm adding some of that too. A little bit of sugar and salt. It's just not really a recipe. I just combine these things to taste, and some minced onion is good in there too. I don't always like raw onions in my salad, so this gives that onion flavor, but it's much more mild. You could certainly do raw onion if that's what you like, and then I just combine all of the ingredients. And this is even better if you can make it ahead of time and let all of the flavors sort of marinate, but it's really good fresh too. And sometimes instead of balsamic vinegar, I'll use a red wine vinegar or a cider vinegar, and I vary up the spices that I put in there too. It's just whatever, I have on hand and whatever I'm in the mood for. While I was cleaning up after lunch, I decided to give our dining area here in the kitchen a little spring refresh. I'm cleaning the wood table with the Method Wood for Good daily furniture cleaner. I like this. It smells really nice like almonds, and sometimes I'll also use their polish if I feel like the wood needs it. Today I'm just cleaning it, and then I'm going to set out a little centerpiece that will bring a little bit of spring into our home. This is pretty much exactly the way I decorated last spring, but I enjoyed it so much I decided to do it again. I love this tall vase, and the faux tulips I just think are so beautiful. We actually got this centerpiece from an event that we went to right before COVID last year, and it was just such a fun, happy time, so it brings back a lot of great memories too. And then I'm just going to set out some placemats and napkins in a green color that just feels a little bit more fresh and a little bit more like spring. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you'll know that home decor is not really my forte. I'm sort of a minimalist when it comes to things like that, but I do like to bring in some seasonal changes, and when I discover something that I like, I tend to stick with it. to that little spring cleaning project that I had planned for this afternoon. We have a sort of built-in china cabinet next to our dining room, and it's sort of off of our entryway to the garage as well. And this is the one area of our home where I display some sort of sentimental items along with our china. This area really needs a spring cleaning. I haven't taken everything out and cleaned it in well over 6 months. So even though everything stays closed up with the doors, it's amazing to find how much dust accumulates in there. So this cabinet I use to store a lot of our Swiss related items. So we received some really beautiful pieces when we were married, and they're very traditional and things that we like to have on display, and we actually use once in a while as well. This is a chocolate fondue set, and we have another cheese fondue set that we actually do use several times a year. And so I like to have them here where I can access them easily and also where we can see them. First, I removed all the dust with my eCloth dusting glove, and then I followed with a damp microfiber cloth and dried it with the window and polishing cloth. This is exactly how I clean the windows and the mirrors in our home, so it works great on the glass shelves and on the glass doors too. This middle cabinet contains a lot of things that we don't really get out very often. They're just sort of here for display, with the exception of one of the teapots that I use pretty regularly. But you can really see the dust accumulation in here. Before returning it to the cabinet, each item is going to get a quick dusting with one of my eCloth dusting cloths. The small teapot that I store in here we use fairly frequently in the winter time, but the Chinese tea set, which belonged to my other grandmother, is something that I don't use very often. So I'm just going to dust it and put it back, and if I were going to use it for serving, I would definitely clean it with some soap and water. These crystal glasses were a wedding gift, and every once in a while Patrick and I will get them out and use them, but if I do, I would wash them with some soap and water. So for now, I'm just going to dust them so that they look a little bit better and return them to the cabinet. The dark, dreary weather outside makes it a good day for cleaning on the inside, especially for cleaning windows. So I'm going to clean these 2 windows while I'm over here, and I'm just using the same damp microfiber cloth along with a window and polishing cloth. To finish up, I'm just going to use my dusting cloth to wipe down the countertops. And then I'm finished with this area. It feels really good to have one more thing I can check off my spring cleaning list. By this time, the dishwashing cycle was complete, so I could finish cleaning out the inside. The vinegar in the cup was replaced by water, so I'm just going to pour that out and then remove the dishwashing racks so that I can wipe out the inside. With a clean eCloth microfiber cloth that I've just dampened with water, I wipe out the inside of the dishwasher. I like to remove the sort of haze or the residue that occurs after a period of time when the dishwashing detergent builds up in there. There are also a couple of nooks and crannies and corners where buildup occurs, and I like to take care of those things now too. The vinegar really does a good job of breaking that up and making it a little bit easier, and this way I'll keep my dishwasher running optimally for longer. The bottom rack of my dishwasher is super easy to replace. The top one took a little bit of maneuvering, but once I sort of figured it out, it really wasn't a problem. I don't know why I forget that from time to time. But once I got that back in, the dishwasher was ready to be reloaded with all of the dishes that have been accumulating from breakfast and lunch. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I hope that it gave you some motivation and inspiration for tackling an area of your home as you start your spring cleaning. Let me know down in the comments what you're going to be working on this week. Also, if you're new to Faith in Flour and you haven't already done so, I want to invite you to subscribe. It's absolutely free and easy. All you have to do is click on my picture. Thank you so much for spending your time with me here today. I look forward to talking with you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a wonderful week.